a battleground then as we start action in 2026 here with SIMGEAR and the GT Masters. What a wonderful place to go and bring racing into the forefront, because when it comes to action, it is Mount Panorama which puts the big scare on each and every single driver. Now, they know that there has been a great endurance race around here, or there is one to come in a couple months in the form of the likes of the Real World Bathurst 12 Hour, which does hold multi-class style racing. But there is a huge scare when it comes to racing here with GT3s and GT4s looking to put themselves on the board. My name's Jake Sperry, bringing you all of the coverage then of this fourth round of the championship. And as they get themselves ready to set out and put those first times down on the board, we have ourselves 30 minutes of qualifying, which starts off, as always, with the GT4 category. So, with that in mind, it is worth talking about who finds themselves where and how the championship stacks up, because we got lots of different championships to talk about as we get ourselves set and ready. Now, the big key here with GT4 is the GT4 standings, and on 186 points, it is Martin Yankov who has the control of the category, profiteering off of the opening round of the championship over at Suzuka, and then having good solid performances through rounds 2 and 3 at Watkins Glen, and of course also at Sebring, to hold the championship where it is. It is just the 4-point lead over Huno Horshi, who has been back-to-back in terms of victories, with Dylan Stebler in third and Daniel Struchka in fourth position. It then follows with Radlan Ivanov and Kamto Chakure, with Alex Stefanov, Norbert Hey, Maxim Ivanov, and Dimitar Dimitrov making up the top 10 in the category. So points to still be played for, but for the moment it is the top 4 currently in a scrap, just 19 points separating them and their championship outputs as it currently holds. So they will all be looking around and thinking they have got the best possible chance today of making their points known, scoring what is rightfully theirs, and knowing that they have 70 points on offer for a race win, 63 for second and 58 for third, and then down to 54, 51, and then 2-point increment from 5th place all the way down to 10th, where you will get 41 points, and then from there, 1-point increment in the championship. They get 2 bonus points if they finish the race without an instant point to play with, and if they score the fastest lap, it is 1 championship bonus point in the back pocket. So that's what they have to deal with out there on circuit as they battle, but we focus in at the moment with the iconic white, blue, and black machine of your championship leader, Martin Yankov, who is looking to set his first time then around this fabled Mount Panorama circuit. It is a street circuit in Australia. It is known more colloquially from the town of Bathurst as the Mountain Road, and that's why it gets the Mount Panorama name, because technically it's not exactly in Bathurst, but it is on the outskirts at Mount Panorama. So making that charge through the cutting then in through turns 3 and 4, and now looking for the charge up the hill then through turn 5 and over to the Griffin's Mount. This fast right-left chicane which has caught many a driver out for overcommitting through this section. You're immediately in through Reed Park, and now over through Solomon Park, over the top of the Metal Grate on the right-hand side, and then McPhillamy here hits this lovely fast left-hand bend over the top of Peter Brock Skyline, the 9-time Supercars champion. Now as you descend down the mountain, the Big Dipper, the drop down the hill, so incredible how much negative G you get through that section. Flying over to the Forest Elbow, downhill corner, where most drivers do take a little bit more of a passive line through the corner. They don't feel like they can take the entirety of the circuit to the outside because you actually lose time. And then you find yourself here on Conrod Straight, and it is a wonderful rising and falling straight that lives and breathes with the landscape, heading to the fastest corner in Australian sim racing, the Chase. out there, the incredibly fast right-hand bend that leads to the left-right chicane, which will start the no-weaving zone out there. First time at Pit Venanzi, then from Luxembourg, gets the first time in on a 2:14.7. Kevin Aby and Radlin Ivanov then will snip that away, and those first times coming in. Kamto Chukwure, then the Irishman, fastest for a moment, as that's then eclipsed by Martin Yankov on a 2:14.2. So we got a lot of big times being found in, and the VGTR drivers trading about fastest sectors. And what a time by Daniel Struchka, who was sat behind Hunor Horshi for the run in that Mustang compared to the Aston Martin, and goes 7/10 quicker, or let's say 6/10 quicker than the rest of the field. That is a huge lap time, and something that is going to be a huge talking point for qualifying and racing action here today. Draft is everything around this circuit, and you are going to be seeing over the course of today that each and every single driver is going to be picking up a huge toe along these big straights and are managing to get an almighty run out there. And if you can get that run, that is going to certainly give you at least a half a second on each straight, as we go to the 109 machine of Maxim Ivanov on a 2:16.6, trying to attack that Porsche Cayman 718 down the hill, the Clubman version, and really get a launch. Two cars side by side in front are both Pit Venanzi and Dimitar Dimitrov. Dimitar yet to set a lap time in the 1:08 machine, so we'll have to really make charge and progress here heading over towards the chase. And so this will be just a sighter for Dimitar Dimitrov, and trying to get behind a quick driver like Venanzi out there, who will be looking to try and get as much drive as possible over the course of today in the Scherer Esports colours out there, which is great to see Scherer with some wonderful teams out there. And Scherer, of course, as we watched Maxim, I've just noticed Maxim Ivanov in the barriers at the final corner, then that will certainly give no help, as Pit Venanzi remains in 7th, Kamto Chukwure up to 3rd, then as Martin Yankov, 8 thousandths to the good, snipes pole position away, and they only have till 10 minutes to go and get their time on the board. So they know they're allowed to finish any times, and Hunor Horshi is eclipsed again by Daniel Struchka, as the Hungarian connection remains 1 and 2. But Scherer Esports doing a great job. They picked up the victory in the 24-hour esports 12-hour of Sebring, so they did a wonderful job there in terms of picking up the result, or at least when I left them at 6 hours, they were in control of that race, knowing that they had it all in their hands. But for the moment, Hunor Horshi at just half a tenth of a second behind, knowing as well that as quick as he goes, he is pulling that Mustang along, and that's going to be doing no favors. A 0x there it will be for the green machine. They're trying to make progress along the top of the mountain. That will be no good of a lap for Radlin Ivanov, who is in that 7th position right now, stuck in that BMW with Kevin Aby flashing the lights in front, praying to Dimitar Dimitrov that he can get out of the way, and not having any luck through the corner as one tags the wall. That's going to be no good for everyone then, who will now have to back off of their laps and go for one more attempt. So they'll have a minute to get themselves sorted. But because the mountain is a one-line suits-all section, basically from cutting all the way to elbow, I worry about these qualifying laps and who's where. I also worry about who manages to find what over the course of the race, because you will have the scrap of GT4s being lapped by GT3s, and a very high risk and possibility of a track blockage out there on circuit, which will be causing all of the dramas. Venanzi improves to a 2:13.9, which is a full 1.3 seconds off the fastest time, and a great lap to put out as the VGTR driver of Norbert Hey now in the 114 trying to improve. Horsey with 2 purple sectors then is hoping that the 112 is going to get the job done, and a 212.7 only for Huno Horsey. The tyres may be just starting to let go a little bit in these hot conditions at Mount Panorama, but it is just the 27 degrees here, because this is at the moment in sim time heading towards 10 a.m., but we are in Australian summer, believe it or not. So this could be a really hot track. Kevin Abey on a final lap. The checkered flag has come out now, so everyone who is out there looking for lap time is going to be done. I think Alex Stefanov might be the last driver to keep note of here as they go, as we watch Kevin Abey following Kamto Chikure. And Chikure actually has been doing really well with the RTA series in Ireland. It's the biggest national championships that consistently run in Ireland and Irish sim racing. And Chikure was right up there, second overall and challenging. There have been some incredible drivers that have come through the ranks there. The likes of Jordan Kelly comes to mind, who loves being out there and racing. And so I look around at someone like Kamto Chikure, who will be looking to try and push into that realm. You've also got brilliant drivers and creators, actually, who are in that, the likes of Lawrence de Sosua, for example, as the leader of the Potato Nation. So down the hill for the final time and hoping for the lap time to form up. All in Malinov looks like has got some improvement, and Kevin Abey's got 2 sectors to the good. Martin Yankov only has 1 sector to the good and is just a bit too far away from Kevin Abey to get the toe along this long straight. You really do have to set up yourself over these 10 minutes. Find someone to work with over the laps, and I think that's the difference maker between being on top and also being not. Chikure unable to improve. Yankov, a purple 5th sector out of 6, as now Abey and Yankov will drive for the line. Abey a 13.9 goes 4th. Martin Yankov a 13.1 remains 3rd with that effort. Huno Horsey has gone for one final attempt as Struchka can't improve, but can Huno Horsey take the pole away? No! No, just 200ths shy of pole position. It was a great effort in the end, but one that is not going to get itself sorted for Huno Horsey. And so that is that as far as qualifying goes in GT4. Now you get the double up in qualifying, which will be coming up right now as the first time to go through of GT3 AM and GT3 Pro Am. So, with these drivers now fighting GT3 AM and GT3 Pro Am, it is a pretty open case as far as all the standings go. There's only one driver who's got more than a 12-point lead in the standings, and that is Stanimir Borisov. He's 35 points clear of Stanislav Naidenov in GT3 AM. An absolutely dominant display in this championship so far, with Nicholas Nikos 3rd overall. It then follows with Lyubimir Plamanov and Lazar Katsarski, with Ivilo Dimitrov and Jack Tolchard then tied for points in 6th. You got then Alexander Nikolov Sr. in 8th, with Plamen Dimitrov and Hristo Sarkazov making up the top 10 in the category. Stanimir Borisov has been doing a wonderful job of converting race results, and so everyone else who has run into troubles, Borisov gets the finish and gets good results to go with on top of that. You will also note GT3 Pro-Am Rally 3, which is a big standing right now and has had a lot of change after what happened last time out at Sebring, with Rosti Koshev then in charge of the championship, 10 points clear of Yoris Erms and a further point ahead of Maxim Dimitrov, who is now 3rd in the championship. Yordanin Svetanov moves up to 4th, but is 37 points adrift, tied with Ivan Boromechkov for position, who had a great run last time out, and Vladimir Mavrodiev then 2 points back of that in 6th. from championship lead to down 42, it's Toure Mollerine, who will be favourite in every race that he runs, as Ivan Bodomechkov sets the pace on a 2:04.8 with Nikolai Mikov, Milen Milchev and Roy Viveka then 8th, 9th and 9th, because Viveka and Milchev are tied on points as it stands on 123, making up your top 10. But still quick drivers like Arnie Weiss and Yulian Janovsky, who are outside of that. Paniot Karpachev, if he can get some luck, can go up there, and so too a driver who led GT3 AM standings last year, Ivo Serafimov, could certainly play a hand in places the likes where Roban Skelton maybe also could do as well. So a lot to tick into mind as Bodomechkov is in charge by about 1.3 over Rosti Koshev, and Nikolai Mikov making up the standings as they go with their qualifying efforts currently. Alexander Nikolov Sr. then in control of the GT3 AM standings as it goes, but Bodomechkov is going quicker and quicker still. Purple in Sector 2, purple in Sector 3, and in practice was lightning fast. Did a 2:03.3 in practice trim, and I will note that was good enough to be 5th fastest of anybody out there. Purple in the 4th sector and really charging now along Conrad and trying to get as much drive as possible going through. Some of the houses then on this stretch go for anywhere over 5 million Australian dollars, which is about 2.2 million pounds, or roughly out there about 3 million euros at this point in time. Arnie Weiss fastest in Sector 5 now, but Bodomechkov making the run to the line. How good is this? It's a 2:03.4. He's 3 seconds clear at the moment, but we'll expect to see times starting to shrink down as round goes Arnie Weiss through the final corner, which will invalidate the lap time, and he's got to be very careful he doesn't disqualify himself, trying to get himself turned back round again. So this is really dramatic here. I'll have to do it a 1,000,000-point turn, and yellow flags waving through the final sector. Roban Skelton 9th, then crossing the line. Koshev improving to a 2:04.5, and those tyres will be cooked already halfway through qualifying spec as they go. Valentin Stemenkov 6th and 2nd in class, with Ivilo Dimitrov now up to 8th. And there is the white Porsche then of Valentin Stemenkov, who is doing a brilliant job in this qualifying and maybe a little off the pace. Jordan Svetinov on a 2:10.3. He had a purple 3rd sector, which is over the top of the mountain, and Svetinov goes to a 3:9, which is good enough for 2nd. Joris Urms up to 4th position now, and so Jordan Svetinov bringing the charge and challenge out there overall, knowing how important it will be that his results are going to be scoring. We have had over the course of this season 56 different point scorers already through the first 3 rounds worth of racing action. So the negative delta by iPredictor doing a great job. They are 9th in the team standings, worth noting as well. And we will touch upon team standings when we move over to GT3 Pro, and we'll get the full picture out there in display for everyone. So the huge improvements that we are seeing are going to be critical. Bodomechkov with only the Sector 1 improvement then as it goes, as the 92 will cross for the line and will try and jump up the order more. That was Stanimir Borisov then looking at about 11th position then at the moment. So we'll need a bit of help to go and jump on through. And just looking at things there, Stanimir Borisov looking like he's being registered as a Pro-Am rather than an Am. So I think that might just need to be changed on our graphics there for Stanimir Borisov, as Valentin Stemenkov goes 4th fastest with just a minute remaining. There is the lime green, almost Rexy-like in colour there, of the Porsche of Ivilo Dimitrov trying to push to the line. Then comes the charge of Milen Milchev, who does a 7.9, and getting a real sense of difference in terms of time now, about 4.4 seconds difference as drivers just look to get laps down. I think this is going to really show a huge difference in terms of those who's got it and those who haven't here today. And the mark speed 49 then will jump up. Joris Ooms to third on a 2:04.3. So really getting good lap time in on the board. A 26-degree track temperature as it stands for the moment, but Roy Viveka yet to set a time on the board, and this is going to be close here to the line on whether Viveka's going to get one more opportunity or not. I would suggest that he will and Stanimir Borisov won't, but at the moment, here comes the launch. Round the final corner, Viveka with 5 seconds will get one more on the books. A 2:08 flat is Nowheresville, the best way to describe that. 17th in terms of time, and only 5 seconds quicker than some of the best in GT4. Boromechkov looking to improve as we watch Stanimir Borisov with the checkered flag out now here as he's got a purple first and fifth sector. He will also be eyeing up. Can he be quicker than some of the drivers around? Jordanin at 0.4 of a second improves up as a 2:03.9. You got to know, say, who's got what. Boromechkov, 3 flat over the line. Magical time as he gets a lap that just says everything he needs. But what does Rosti Koshev do as the AM leader? He puts a 3.6 down, which is good enough for the moment for the front row. And so that is magical for what was needed by him. Arnie Weiss as well looks quick in the 5th sector again. He's got a car that is very trimmed out at the moment, that Aston Martin, compared to everybody else's lap time. And so if he's getting that sorted, this could be lightning fast, and it is. It's a 3.9. It jumps Svetinov, and Arnie Weiss for mark speed will go up to 3rd position. We go to the iPredictor SimGear car of a Jordanin Svetinov, who is making the push then to try and get up a purple 3rd sector, green in sectors 4 and 5. Ooms goes 3rd. Svetinov to the line will not have the lap time count, and that is a real shame there to get it done. Only Roy Viveka now has a chance of improving this lap in the Mark Speed BMW. The Belgian driver from the Flemish region is looking to really prove that he has got something more in the back pocket. He knows a 2:05 will probably be what he's aiming for, but he'll have to dive it back into pits with a lap that won't count. And so he says day done in that regard as we head over to GT3 Pro. I don't want to be leader is the key of the game at this stage, and it looks like for Ivaylo Boychev, who is stuck being the leader, for Venceslav Raichunov and Velim Vitanov out there at this moment in time. And Raichunov and Vitanov have had very busy schedules driving about in the 24-hour E-Series, which has been a big challenge. They had a 12-hour race at Sebring to try and uncork. But as far as uncorking goes, Gabriel Ivanov has been the one to find the pace and the prowess out there overall this season. He's on 194 points in GT3 Pro. He also leads driver general, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Johan Neshev is nearest challenger, just 11 points back, with Velim Vitanov at 28 and Łukasz Shipowa then 37 points adrift in 4th. Ivaylo Boychev currently 5th in the standings ahead of Christian Novev in 6th, with Leon Kiermaier 7th and Chris Vrajilov in 8th. The lack of finishes are really hurting Venceslav Raichunov. He's only on 57 points to start this season, but he has been a threat to win every round so far. So really struggling to get the result that is wanted in the back pocket. And the last driver in GT3 Pro is Nicholas Stanev on 47 points. Now, as driver general standings are going, Gabriel Ivanov does lead, but the lead gap, instead of 11 points over Johan Neshev, is actually 45 over Velim Vitanov. Neshev 3rd on 148, Sipowa on 143, with Koshev, Dimitrov and Ooms. Then the Pro-Ams, 4th, 5th, 6th, and Ture Mollerin, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Mollerin finds himself, and the leading AM 9th, Stanimir Borisov and Vladimir Mavrodiev in 10th. The general standings take everyone in the same category and show their points as they look to put it forward. And then in the team standings, it is the negative delta by iLivery's team that have the control of that, which is the duo of Velim Vitanov and Johan Neshev. 45 points clear of Paddock.gg, and then Off-Track Racing MV find themselves in third, which is the team of Vladimir Mavrodiev and Maxim Dimitrov. Negative Delta by Madness fourth, Mark Speed in fifth, and then it's R&R Yekov Rally School in sixth, ahead of Mark Speed Racing. Negative Delta KK Squad, Negative Delta by iPredictor, and then Slank rounding out the top 10, which is the team of Stanislav Naidenov and Lazar Katsarski. So they've looked for good results out there. First time's in on the board, and it is Vilo Boychev who is looking the closest to Ivan Boromechkov at the moment, who's on a 2:03 flat. So they've got 0.2 of a second to find. And lest we forget, Gabriel Ivanov in the picture. He's got a fastest second sector of anybody at the moment, with Johan Neshev currently third as it stands and looking to really build up on the points, running the green, the red and the white of the Bulgarian colours down the hill at Skyline, and really trying to set a precedent that I can be after my win at the opening round of the championship at Suzuka. Continue on with great form. Gave absolutely everything to try and win at Sebring, but had to fall second best to Gabriel Ivanov, who went back-to-back as well, and is proving that he is the fish to beat when everyone knows that there is no reigning champion for this season in the form of Vladislav Shopov, and with no driver in AM either to take honours to be very frank on that, with no driver there. You now start thinking, well, this is going to be where the development of this championship continues on, and we see where those drivers can put it all together. Johan Neshev then will drive for the line and goes with a 2:02.2. My word, that is a magical lap time by Johan Neshev, who has gone and absolutely blitzed it around. Nothing that likes Gabriel Ivanov can do. He had an off-track somewhere or clipped the wall. Venslav Raichanov on a 2:02.4 then found a great time, as Leon Kiermaier then is going to stack this up in fifth position, doing a brilliant job. But leapfrogging up is Christian Novev into fourth position, and Vilo Boychev into third. So they both found great times, and Gabriel Ivanov with the fastest first sector of anybody. Remember, they will only have till the 30-minute mark, which is when qualifying ends. So they are down to 3 minutes here in this session, and Gabriel Ivanov knows it. He has got to be following the coattails of Johan Neshev in front. Purple again in Sector 2. Over Skyline he will come to next, coming out of McPhillamy. So easy to overcommit through there, and the Madness SIMGEAR Aston Martin chasing hard against the Mustang, and you feel it's going to be a little bit nippier through the corners compared to the big block motor that is found in the Ford out there. And so Gabriel Ivanov now needing help. Wasn't the best third sector. Brilliant though in the fourth. Neshev improving steadily on every sector again, and has not set a single fastest sector anywhere on the lap. And that is so telling by the way of Johan Neshev, that he's not the fastest in any one sector. He's just a little slower here and there. Not as good for him, nor Gabriel Ivanov, running through along Conrad into the chase and heading to Murray's Corner to end the lap out. Is there even more improvement? A 2:01 would be magnificent. He did a 1:8 in practice, and he does a 2:01.2 again to improve, and up the time then will go Gabriel Ivanov. He did a 2:02.2, and he's only half a tenth behind, and he's trying to go again, but he's just had a big wiggle. Velim Vitanov has got a lot of improvement. He goes to sixth fastest then on a 2:02.9, so he's 0.7 of a second off the pace, with Christian Novev currently fifth at the moment, and just ahead of that coming to the line. You've got the likes of Chris Vrajilov, who's a little off the pace right now in 13th position. He's 1.8 back, and if he's going to struggle to qualify it, he might find himself in a place which is going to cause more harm than good for him, because at a circuit like this, at a street circuit like this, it's all about the lap time. It's all about the qualifying. It's all about giving what you can. And Daniel Struchka, by the way, on pit lane has just blown his motor. So that's why the black and orange mechanical flag is out for him as it goes. Neshev and Ivanov both see that they can't go any quicker, so it will be up to drivers like Ventislav Raichinov to improve. Vrajilov is improving, but everyone else around isn't, and that's not going to help because you're going to abandon off the road at Skyline. Chris Vrajilov's lap is going to be done with that moment in its entirety. So there's not much more that can be said. These are the final times, and Ivaylo Boychev's going to need something. Green in the 4th sector. That's going to be a little bit of solace. Velin Vitanov's up in 3 sectors right now and could be someone who can strike for pole if it all aligns to it, or at the very least, go and get the result. Checker flag is out. Now here comes the chance. Look at the driver, Venti Raichinov, here as he now tries to get every amount of drive. Boychev has abandoned the lap. Ventislav hasn't yet, as he tries to get the last remnants of pace out of his Aston Martin, heading over towards the line. Here through Murray's Corner, is it going to be enough to move up from a 202.4? It's a 203 flat, though. That's no good. Vitanov can't improve. Neither could Kiermaier, and that will be that for qualifying here in the SimGear GT Masters from Mount Panorama in Bathurst, as Johan Neshev has put a statement marker down. Gabriel Ivanov, the championship leader, tried his best, but he would just not be close enough. So we can run down that qualifying order. Ventislav Raichinov 3rd, with Ivaylo Boychev in 4th and Christian Novev 5th. That then will pretty much be your top 5. But as far as this goes, we are at that halfway stage of the season, and they are on back-to-back weeks in the championship, because next time out on the 18th, which will be just 7 days from now, they will be heading to the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, one of the great known quantities of GT-style racing that could give all of the difference out there to everybody and their runs that they have got for championship glory. So they will have that to try and sit on with in the next stages, and they will know after that will be the Daytona International Speedway, and that will be just after the 24 Hours of Daytona, which is running in iRacing next weekend. So be a very busy day for sim racers everywhere, and the championship meetings finishing off at arguably the greatest place to hold a championship finale, and that is Interlagos. It's one of my favorite tracks to see great racing at, and we will see that in terms of the SimGear GT Masters and what it will offer. So, as far as it goes, they are going to get themselves set soon for racing. They'll have an hour and 10 minutes, and they are limited on their fuel tanks to 50% of a tank, which will enforce a 2-stop strategy at the box here today. So they will know, at least when it comes to their cars, that they are thinking, right, this might be a big fuel saver, and is often a lot better as a fuel saver than it is compared to a lot of other circuits, because you've got those big long straights, and if you're stuck behind cars over the mountain, it's where you go and get by. And I'd be really scared today if you're a GT3 or a GT4 and you catch traffic coming over the mountain, because I think you might just today have to sit down and be patient, find a place where you can get through. If you don't, otherwise, there will be major troubles and consequences coming up over the top of the hill. Let's take a look at our grid rundown. Johan Neshev then on the pole position with Gabriel Ivanov alongside for company. It will then follow with Ventislav Raichinov and Ivaylo Boychev on row 2. It's then Christian Novev 5th and Velin Vitanov 6th, with Ivan Boromechkov, the best of the Pro-Ams, going in 7th. Leon Kiermaier is there in 8th. In 9th, will be Rosti Koshev with Joris Ooms in 10th, 11th and 12th being Arnie Weiss and Jordan Svetanov. Then we get to Chris Vrajlov in 13th and Lazar Katsarski there for Slank in 14th. It's then Nikolai Mikov and Valentin Stemenkov with Stanimir Borisov, who should be a GT3 AM, but is coloured for us as a Pro-Am at the moment in 17th, with Alexander Nikolov in 18th and Vladimir Mavrodiev 19th. Ivilo Dimitrov rounds out the top 20 ahead of Lyubomir Velkov and Raban Skelton, as then following on from them, you will have Milan Milchev 23rd and Stanislav Naidenov 24th. Roy Viveka and Nicholas Nikos are 25th and 26th. No time set by Hristo Sarkazov in 27th. And then the GT4s hit with Daniel Struchka and Huno Horshi, with Martin Yankov 3rd in class, Kevin Aby 4th, and then Pit Venanzi for Shera Esports in 5th position in class 32nd. Norbert Hayi is going to be 33rd ahead of Kamto Chikure and Alex Stefanov, with Radlin Ivanov and Orlin Malinov. Alexander Nikolov Jr. then follows Maxim Ivanov, and then Dylan Stebler, the first of the drivers not to set a time in category, leading the two Dimitars, Palauzov and Dimitrov, and Krastin Stanchev then in 43rd position, unable to go and set a lap time. So that is where the next challenge is going to be, and the idling they have as they are now just about to set off behind the iRacing BMW M2 pace car. So then, they get themselves ready, just a short run along to the chase, and that's only going to give them about 10 seconds of weaving before they have to line up. And already I see there a case of weaving being ignored by Gabriel Ivanov, and so he should be dinged by the stewarding team for getting an unfair advantage for weaving his tyres. So we'll see how that goes post-race, but at least for the start of this one, Johan Neshev has the control of this field out of Murray's Corner. An hour and 10 is going to be on the clock. Oh, and they're bumping each other as they start. 5th in line there. That was, I think, Christian Novev, who got it all wrong off the start there and has forced a little bit of contact. They now work through into Hell Corner for the first time. The GT3s all managed to skirt themselves through turn 1 with no problems. GT4 will be looking at their getaway with Struchka and Horshi. They're out leading their field off and getting ready. They're waiting for the start line to get themselves up to speed, and it's a great launch by Struchka, who gets the clearance he needs as Yankov sits in 3rd, knowing he needs good result then with Kevin Aby. Up though we will go to GT3s at some point as they all make their way through turn 1, and cars will work through up to the cutting, and this is where you got to get single file straight away. No drama, no fuss, no hustle is going to be the aim of the first lap as you go through. If anyone's going to struggle, it is going to be on cold tyres on the opening lap of the race, especially when you consider the track's now up to 32 degrees as they work themselves on through. Neshev leading Ivanov, leading Raichanov out there at the moment, and they will take the tumble down the hill over towards the likes of the Forest Elbow. So that's going to be what they need on the horizon, and a nice clean start then that has been delivered by everyone. This is where overtaking though is going to be the king, and at least right now everyone sat and comfy at this stage. Slipstream going to be mega then for those, as Gabriel Ivanov with a 4-car length disadvantage in the negative delta by Madness. Aston Martin is going to try and hunt on down and get back to the Mustang of Johan Neshev, and is not going to be there. Not many moves. Issues off the start for Krastin Stanchev then with the black and orange mechanical flag, and Hristo Sarkazov with a black flag. So for Hristo, a case of that is going to drop him well down the order after what's happened at the start of the race. So we'll have to dive down into the pits. But Krastin Stanchev then finding troubles on the opening lap. Huno Horshi then will be sitting down, wondering, where am I going to go and get that move? Answer is going to be right now, because that's a bit too deep there by the driver Daniel Struchka, and the 113 is going to have to serve the slowdown, and this has opened the door up for Martin Yankov, who tries to pull himself to the outside to make it happen. There's also slowdowns for Stebler and Malinov, all to serve, and so now it's a VGTR breaded sandwich here with Martin Yankov currently in the midst of that, outside of turn 1, searching, and back down the inside. Struchka, no respect on the reigning champion, is going to get that move and is going to comfortably get the pass along the mountain straight and up the hill. The grunt of the Ford Mustang letting itself be known in absolute terms as they will head themselves up towards turn 2, the quarry turn, the quarry corner. And so now they're happy with where they are. Boromechkov, leader of the GT3 AM category, as it stands, in 7th position, and doing a nice job at the moment, keeping Leon Kiermaier at bay. Joris Ooms, the nearest challenger in category, in 9th place. So certainly will be someone to note, with Rosti Koshev, the championship leader, 10th and 3rd in class at the moment. For AMS, it is Alexander Nikolov Sr. who leads the category as it goes. Lazar Katsarski is 2nd, and Stanimir Borisov then is 3rd in the AMS as they go. Stebler now fighting in his AMG GT4 right now, is going to have a lot of work to do, because he is off the pace compared to his 3 championship rivals, who are 1, 2, and 3 in category here, with Malinov just in front, then Chakure, then Radlen Ivanov. So this is a long way back after the slowdown, and Alexander Nikolov Jr. is also there in the mix as well. So they're going to have to try and tumble out and say, this is where we're going to find our differences, as at the front of the field, it's now the top 2 away by 1.3 seconds from Venceslav Raichanov. We'll go to Rosti Koshev here, who is trying to now find himself a chance to move on up and gain the position up into P number 9 overall on Joris Ooms. And at least right now here in the opening 5 minutes, not having too much of a concern, but there's a huge concern up there, as there was a car in the barriers at the cutting pointing the wrong way, and I can only say it's Hristo Sarkisov, who had just served his penalty, come out of the pit and has just found it back into the wall and then the front. So that pretty much writes that car off. There are no fast repairs in the SimGear GT Masters, so it will mean that that day is written off in the opening few laps only. Chakure now looking to try and eye up a pass. This one up the mountain straight on Radlen Ivanov. That Mercedes trying to fight the BMW, which just takes the middle of the road, so can cover off the line at quarry here and up to the cutting. They are now dropping time. They dropped 1.5 seconds to Alex Stefanov on the last lap, so they are going to have to move to try and get themselves up, as if Sacha Baron Cohen was singing as King Julian in their ears. But right now you have got Chakure trying what he can to go and get this pass, but through the Griffin's Mount, you are a passenger at this point. There aren't really any opportunities to go and make the move done, and if you're the likes of All in Malinov, so long as you stay with the car in front, you're going to be okay. Oh, Stanimir Borisov is blinking about then, by the sounds of it here, and that's going to be doing no favors then for Ivilo Dimitrov, who is there and around him, as we got side-by-side Koshev to the outside of Hell Corner to get it done, and now he's going to need to drive the mountain. Vrajilov sits behind as the pro, and then a Yordanin Svetinov trying to get in as a pro-am into the mix, and there's going to be a bump on the straight for Koshev to try and get through. Vrajilov then trying to give as much help as possible into that next corner, and he's stuck there trying to get it through, and Ooms had to open the steering, compromises the run, and that's going to bring Svetinov to the outside of the cutting here. It's always got to be a brave move. Too wide around the outside. It's not going to be there. The door is slammed firmly shut by Joris, who says, no chance, sir. No chance I'm letting you through and having that one for free, with the next two corners being right-hand bends. Suddenly, it's 5 at the front. Neshev, Ivanov, Raichinov, Boychev, and Novev as far as this group sits. And this race really starting to be a case of who is going to manage themselves and keep themselves in the playing picture. Down through the dipper as we go back to Valentin Stemenkov. Dimitar Dimitrov with a slowdown penalty, as Stemenkov now tries to work out whether there is a move on Ivaylo Dimitrov, and of course the GT3 AM leader Stanimir Borisov. We will need to change that from a white to a blue at some point, but for Stanimir, this is going to be not what the doctor ordered, being 3rd in class, with Ivaylo 4th in class behind, and Valentin Stemenkov there. You've also got Stebler still trying everything. Oh, that's not how you do it. Contact then through the cutting, and round is turned. One driver there of Orlin Malinov, I believe it was, facing the wrong way, so the 102 machine then is going to have a very awkward time getting back up to speed, and is trying desperately then to get the car turned around, because there'll be the likes of Dimitar Dimitrov turning up on the scene in the next couple of moments, and that will be disastrous there. The wonderfully inspired Malkar then is trying to make the pass as Stemenkov continues on with the attempt here to get through, eyeing up the inside on Ivaylo Dimitrov, and just not quite able to get the launch on the Porsche through turn 1. But why would you make the move at 1 when you can go and get a slipstream and attack at turn 2? That's going to be the bigger place, I think, to try and get the move done. And so that will be where searches lie, and Stemenkov trying the long way around at the quarry is not going to go and get that move done. So there'll be more to it as the group continues on behind with it. Neshev and Ivanov, your leaders, as we go to Kamto Chikure again, who will be looking at this group and will probably have a little bit of a case of, I need to get my finger out and really move on. You've got Nikolov Jr. diving down the inside here. You've got the likes of Stebler in play, and Chikure really out of sorts from what we've seen from him over the opening 3 rounds of the championship there. Really couldn't find anything of note, as look at that side-by-side. Stebler still having to fight it here with Nikolov for that place. As 10 minutes expire out of it, they will duel up the mountain. Bodomechkov in a strong scrap then is just going to lose out then to Leon Kiermaier for position. Now, it won't matter too much. They're still 3 seconds clear of Koshev at the moment, but Kiermaier and Bodomechkov are going to need to get a move on here, because Koshev's trying to deal with some lap traffic in the form of Maxim Ivanov, who is just trying to keep himself out of trouble and prioritize a finish. A big bit of side-by-side. Kiermaier wasn't expecting that. Bodomechkov straight back as the AM leader and getting a great run of things to go through. Now they're going to start hitting GT4 traffic properly, and this is going to be where the leaders, I think, are going to be a little bit switched on. Neshev and Ivanov are going to need to follow through on Dimitar Dimitrov, and they just about managed that, but Dimitar here is in the middle of the road, and it slows up Raichinov here as they look to crest the rise, and Venti is looking for a way through. Griffin's Mount it will have to be down the inside with Ivaylo Boychev in tow, but it's cost them a full second over the mountain already, plus any momentum that will be lost as we go back to Leon Kiermaier in 8th place, hoping that his run on Ivan Bodomechkov is going to be a little bit more plain sailing, to say the very least. And now over the top of McPhillamy, that big raised curb there on the right-hand side, so easy to just find yourself in trouble out there on track, as we do have a third retiree after Sarkisov and Stanchev. That is all in Malinov now, officially out of the race. There is Stanimir Borisov, who is running for SL Racing as an AM, not a Pro-Am. It has to continually be said here in this one, but this is where Stanimir is now finding himself in a very tough position, because he doesn't want to go out there and overly attack against the GT4 Porsche clubman in front. That, of course, being Maxim Ivanov, that you do have to wait for the best place to get the clearance, and sometimes you have to wait a whole straight for it. Such is the nature of the beast. Maxim Ivanov then is there along for the riders. Stamenkov and Ivilo Dimitrov now look to try and pull out in line, doing 265 kilometers an hour, and just a wiggle between them as they break down into the chase. Round the outside, it's a little deep. Oh, and try and force the 3 wide to go and get it done. That one not quite the way that needed to happen for Valentin, but now with Stanimir Borisov. Is the inside going to still hold the defense? No is the answer, because here comes the cutback, and that's a great move by Lazar Katsar, by Ivilo Dimitrov, sorry, on Stanimir Borisov there to get that done. Comfy in the end down the inside, and some wonderful passing then, finding itself scored as they now look to try and clear every single pit of traffic that they can here around the mountain. Bodomechkov closing in, and look at this group here with Joris Ooms here in 11th place, because 10th is Koshev. Brazilov in 9th is now leading them like the Pied Piper, and we've also got a car in the lane, which is Naidenov from the AM category. So Stanislav Naidenov then is making that first pit stop on only lap 7 of the race, which indicates to me that that is going to be off cycle there for the Schlank team, and the effort being done of the 88 Porsche. So there are differences to be had over the course of these races, and we see it time and time again that as you are trying to gain that prowess and progress, that you can do something a little different. Get the pit stop out the way early, fall a little bit back in the pack away from various drivers, and do not find yourself in trouble out there. Erms again, another driver who's looking to find the move and gets the run on Koshev down into the chase, and there's a little overlap, but the Yekov Rally School Porsche will stave off the BMW there of Mark Speed, and now Jordan Svetanov is going to get himself in the picture in his Ford Mustang, which has got a wonderful bit of grunt to it in a straight line, and there's not really much more that can be said except they are going to have to stay in line. They are going to have to try and get what they can done. Stanimir Borisov then dropping a couple places on the laps. Stamenkov through. There was a worry, actually, down at the Forest Elbow for Borisov. Oh, bye-bye, Mila Milchev. And he's going to get help to get turned around as well, as Vladimir Mavrodiev gets into the back. But critically, he was going around already, so Mavrodiev, I think, was just a little too late to react and didn't have anywhere to go with the broadside car in front of him out there on track. We'll take another look here. Lyubomir Velkov just trying to see that here. It's Milan Milchev, sorry, who went around for off-track racing. You can see he just catches curb on the inside. It unsettles the car as the influx of grip comes in. The car wants to turn itself around, and really, Lyubomir Velkov nowhere to go into the Repco signage there on the inside. The dramas continue out there on their run. So now as I look, Ivilo Boychev is actually falling or is staying there with Christian Novev, as here's Pit Venanzi in the 124 Clubman Porsche there, that Cayman, trying very hard with Kevin Abe to keep the pace up, but they've already dropped about 4 seconds here to Yankov and Struchka, and Hunor Horshi has checked out at the front of the group to 3.7 seconds overall. So that's really telling the difference. But the Scherer Esports driver from Luxembourg, who is Luxembourgish is the term, or is part of the Luxembourgs, so to speak. But now, not going to need to make a move immediately, but will be alert to what the group is behind and will be alert to side-by-side for the race lead. Because now here comes a chance on the outside, Ivanov forcing a way through there on Stebler and Chakure, because he needed the drive to go out there and attack straight away Johan Neshev, who is there at just a 1/10.5 of a second, and now needing this move and needing to find a way. Is it going to be the outside line into the quarry corner at turn 2? Yes, but it's covered off there by Johan Neshev, and you're going to have to be a little bit more inventive than that. Radlin Ivanov pulling over to the left-hand side and staying well out of the way. This is bringing Venti Raishanov back into play at 1.6 seconds, almost pushing each other through the cutting and away up the Griffin's Mount. Vilo Boychev, Christian Novev, Dylan Stebler then and co trying to stay out of trouble, but over the top now and through the parks where the fans all line up on the right-hand side. Naidenov, I think, has been in pits for a really long time, as also you got Milan Milchev now officially down in on the lane. Novev here in 5th has got a Vilo Boychev's number scouted, as they will now descend down through the S's and over to the Big Dipper corner here, and a lot more precise through there in the Mustang compared to the Ferrari. There was Novev in comparison to Boychev, so Boychev with a lot to do as they went through. And we talked about the traffic and how it's going to play its part. Well, it's now going to play its part at the chase, because here is Pit Venanzi going for that move on Kevin Aby, with Heyi and Alex Stefanov then holding themselves along with just enough room for Aby on the inside. Can he get it covered off? There was a little look there to try and get it done for Alex Stefanov. That didn't work, but it is the move scored complete then. And oh, where do you go? You're now having to try and cut through the group then is both Neshev and Ivanov, and there's going to be contact through the corner then for Johan Neshev. He's going to get a tag on the likes of Kevin Aby, and this gives Gabriel Ivanov the chance. Now, if he wants to be brave, he'll go for it, but it's going to be a case of you can't chuck it down the inside with Pit Venanzi in that position. So, again, it brings Venti Raishanov to 1.1 seconds, but it is scaring this field right now, how they've got to try and get that clearance. Gabriel Ivanov now is trying to do everything, and look at this, 3 wide, then all the way back in about 5th position as Christian Novev looks for an angle, and oh, Venanzi's gone straight on at turn 2. He keeps it out of the barriers, but it is going to cost him the place to AB, and it might cost him the place to Alex Stefanov as well, who will go around the outside and take the position. Valentin Stemenkov. Oh, that's going to be a car around right in front of them. Krastin Stanchev there, and he's having to do a 1,000,000-point turn after a spin at the cutting. And finally, will get himself back up to pace again, scaring everybody there on the outskirts of turn 4. So he'd already looped it there at turn 4, and he's just trying to get it to a place where he can safely bring the car around. And you can see there, that is the leader of GT4, Huno Horshi, going by. Loving life, to say the very least. And Christian Novev now will be sitting there in 5th going, well, that was going to be concerning. Stemenkov, the official first pit stop of the race, with Naidenov now out of the pits and back out there and racing. Joris Ooms continuing on this scrap then over the top of the hill and down. They are stuck at the moment behind Radlin Ivanov, looking for a lane to the inside, and they'll finally get it, will Chris Vrajlov, but it will bring the likes of Koshev and Ooms and also Svetinov into players. Look at them swarm down Conrad and try and find this pass. Svetinov knows better than anyone that these three, if they go at it, it's going to be tough. Same for Ivan Boromechkov. Oh, sweeping around Leon Kiermaier. That's brilliantly done. Ooms and Svetinov now going to continue on the battle, as the iLivery's car will battle with Mark Speed, and it is Joris Ooms who holds his steady nerve and keeps the place in. But you really are sensing now that this is where I look at Koshev, I look at Vrajlov, they are all just trying to be the last rat on the sinking ship. It's that sort of feeling right now that everyone's going, no, I'd rather you be the one that has to try and defend rather than I, the one who has to attack. As here comes Alex Stefanov to the outside, hoping to go and garner the pass around and get this sort of what's been a very respectable, clean drive so far in this field, and he's just going to be able to hold himself steady. But look out on the exit, because Venanzi and Hayi now giving what for in those Porsches, and they will hold their lines. So with Alex Stefanov then moving up the order, that will be a pass for 5th position in class. And now eyeing up more, Gabriel Ivanov has been unable to follow over this last lap. He's been caught the traffic a little bit wrong compared there with those around Horsey. Not as accommodating. The gap now 1.7 seconds for Johan Nesher, with Venceslav Rajchanov now on the back, and Ivaylo Boychev then in 4th position. One of the few circuits in the world, this one, and it goes up there with the Nürburgring. It will go up there with circuits like most street circuits where disaster can befall you at any corner. It's not a case of you have an easy time out there. You can know that one wrong move is enough to spoil the apple cart then, and Rajchanov, who is trying to right his season out there, needs to do a good job. Alex Stefanov continuing to push here in GT4 and find himself the chances to go through as Boromechkov clears the lot. AB now having to defend at the chase, and here comes the chance then for Alex Stefanov. He gets the clearance, boxed in, then wrong place for Leon Kiermaier as just dicing away through. Brilliant, Chris Radulov, but on the inside, oh my goodness me, there's almost there was almost turnaround, almost 2 or 3 times. They're going to be 3 wide, and now find a gap there beyond with Venanzi and co. Joris Ohms just about skirts away through as they will continue that scrap 3 wide into the corner. Now there's the turnaround. AB gets into the side of Stefanov, and that is going to drop him a couple of places. Nothing dramatic as Stebler pits, as Chakure pits. Both of them realizing now would be a good time with how much ping pong is being played here from this group. It's a game of table tennis in the GT4 field as Vrajilov now will get by Kiermaier, and now Kiermaier's got a decision because he's got Joris Ohms now who wants to try and make that pass and move himself up a position to P number 9, both of whom are fighting for their own respective championships, Am and Pro-Am. And so you'd start looking around and saying Leon Kiermaier is going to be a force with what is needed, and he needs time to get up to speed. In fact, he did just clip the barriers there going through. A little puff of smoke I saw then running through that section. So a lot of nerve needed around this track to hold yourself steady and to keep yourself in play. And you've also got Stanimir Borisov, the AM in the pits, the AM championship leader. So that number 92 also making a stop, and Alexander Nikolov Jr., also down in the pits and has been in there for a while. So looks like something's happened there over the mountain, as now Ivaylo Boychev looks to set his stall out, saying, I'm third, I'm through on Venceslav Rajchanov, and it was a very nice pass, to say the very least, that got Ivaylo Boychev through. At Murray's Corner, one of the last places, in fact, the last place on the lap to get any sort of move done. It did a wonderful job of saying, I'm in this one, and I want points. Vladimir Mavrodiev now scrapping it out with the 90 of Lyubimir Velkov, I think that might be there for Mavrodiev, who is trying to just get the angle sorted, and Lyubimir in that number 90 car has done a great job in AM of holding his station and going, I'm not too fussed. I'm not too concerned with the way that this race is going. This has been a strong performance out there, and Lyubimir Velkov once more is setting the stall up to say, I just want to get away and I want some time to myself, and I'm not going to be too plussed if I have to keep scrapping. With Koshev now behind Svetinov, this is going to be now tough, as you've got Nicholas Nikos in for the first stop. We are pretty much on that cusp now of first pit stops here, heading towards that half-an-hour stage of the race. Koshev really getting close to the barriers there through the Griffin's Mount, and just trying to take as much of this circuit as possible. It is the fastest way. The closer to the walls you go, the more pace you're going to find, and he is going to jump, or they are going to jump up on the scene on Martin Yankov at the moment, who is third in class, as we got more GT4 scrapping going on. There is Martin. He's sort of been abandoned here by Struchka and by those behind, like Venanzi. He's 15 seconds clear of Pit Venanzi, who is in the 4th position. But Struchka and Horsey, they're miles away at the moment. They are 10 seconds down the road. And again, the VGTR cars, sorry, are proving that they are lightning fast, and they are going to continually be a threat for these races. Joris Erms again setting himself down. Kiermaier and Vrajilov then back in line with them, and trying to stay is Jordan Svetanov. Koshev, well, he's been bounced from the group. No other way of explaining it here. Heading towards that halfway stage. We do have a car entering pits behind, and it is Martin Yankov here. So Yankov, I think, is only going to have to do what he's tried before on strategy, which will be a no-tyre call, 2-stop call, and hopefully it gets the job done. But at the moment, it's looking like it's not doing exactly what is needed. But will the track position prove to be the most vital point to play with? Johan Neshev now 3 seconds clear at the front of the field over Gabriel Ivanov, with the likes of Ivaylo Boychev. Then in third, we go over to Kiermaier with Vrajilov just in front. And now to the leader of the AMS, Alexander Nikolov, as Ivanov gets a slowdown penalty. Then to serve a pass by Alexander Nikolov. Gets it done on Arnie Weiss then for that place. But Gabriel Ivanov with a slowdown. He's desperately trying to serve it. He just has. And now he's 4.5 seconds back. And he's brought Ivaylo Boychev to 4/10. He's brought Venti Raishinov then to 0.6 of a second back off it. And so now Gabriel is realizing, as a championship leader, this is going to be a tough race. You're going to have drivers want to try and kick it on. And when you're in negative delta, the biggest team in Bulgaria, and you're all in slightly different teams, you all know how everyone drives. You all know where the pace is. And that's going to be tough as they all go. Now into the pits comes Gabriel Ivanov. He follows Johan Neshev in. He is followed by Ventislav Raichinov. It's a really late commitment cone with Christian Novev there as well. Ivaylo Boychev gets the extra lap out of the car, and so that will help on the splash and dash late on in this race. Just around Hunor Horsey goes Joris Erms, with Kiermaier the focus on screen. Velin Vitanov able to go a little bit longer. Remember that Velin's up there in the championship scrap, so he'll be looking for as many points as he can muster at the moment as the 2 Mark Speed cars continue on. In comes Chris Vrajilov. In comes the race leader in GT4 Horsey, and Bodemechkov speeding on the lane. You're kidding me. The leader of GT3 Pro Am commits the cardinal sin of not knowing where the line is, and ultimately is going to be dinged for it in the box, and he'll have to stay an extra 50 seconds. Look at this. This is also one of the things of Australian pits. They're normally one line suits all as you come down in, and so if you're stuck behind a GT4, you're going to have to find the brakes. Venanzi, Stefanov there. You've got there trying to scrap through legitimately everyone. Neshev leaves the pits for... Gabriel Ivanov actually going to be behind Ventislav Raichinov, who has got the pass done, actually coming up to the cutting. Brilliant pass done. And so Gabriel Ivanov now back to third. Venti is moving here around this wonderful Mount Panorama. So out of the pits, Martin Yankov is going to be side by side with Hunor Horsey as they now go up into turn 2, and immediately the clearance is there. Ivilo Boychev hits the lane, but Hunor Horshi, good pass. Needed to make that pass because Martin Yankov, again, has made a strategy call that holds himself accountable to, I've got to stay close to you. And so now as he holds on to the rear, he can now study where the car pace is going to be for Hunor Horshi. And this is a tough place for Martin Yankov. The reigning champion has on 4 occasions this season been second best in pace, but only once has he been able to convert it to a win. Oh, Joris, that's not an easy line into the pits there. What happened there? Trying to hold the pit stop line perfect. Going on through, Leon Kiermaier and co. were trying to work on down in. And so now you look around, and I look at Ivilo Boychev. Ivilo's got out ahead of everyone. He's 4 seconds clear of Johan Neshev. So Ivilo Boychev, the extra lap, and I think an underfuel then on this stint. That Ferrari is clear, and it's got clear air. So Johan thought he had everyone scouted. Ivilo Boychev here, I think, is going to have to pay the piper back later on in this final stop. He is going to need it. Look at the difference. 6 seconds in the lane, a 51.7 second stop. That tells you all you need to know, with Neshev and Raichanov on at 57.4, 58.1 for Gabriel Ivanov. My, oh my. That tells you all you need to know. We've still got Arnie Weiss out there in 6th place, and by the looks of things with the pit stops, Arnie, I think, is one of those drivers who is going to be looking around and saying, well, I'm doing brilliantly. He's with Velen Vitanov at the moment, but he's the only driver yet to stop, and he's gone 33, nearly 34 minutes on his run. That's going to put him perilously close to one stopping this race. So if he's gone on an uber fuel save mode, and if he can get one extra lap out of either this or the next stop, Arnie Weiss might be able to make a one-stop work. It's about how much time he would lose trying to save the extra litres needed around the lap, and at least for the way that he's gone about it, I think he's been doing a sterling job, because remember, he'll lose a minute down in the lane just trying to get the fuel into the car in its entirety. So Velen Vitanov should make this move. This should be a comfortable pass then over to the left-hand side, but he's only just been given the lane into the chase here. And Arnie Weiss lifts very early off of the throttle to facilitate the pass through, to keep the natural speed moving, to make the fuel save work. Arnie Weiss might be on course to make a one-stop strategy work, as he now hits pit lane at the 34-minute mark, and he'll be hoping he can get to 1 hour and 10, depending on where the timer hits for everyone. Roy Viveka back here in 19th position. Is scrapping it out with Ivan Boromechkov and Vladimir Mavrodiev. And there is Mavrodiev for Off-Track Racing MV in that 20th position. They're doing really well in the team's championship. They're just picking up the points that are necessary, as is the Slank team, with Lazar Katsarski in 15th, lunging for the inside for the AM lead. Can't get there on Nikolov Sr. And so there is more to be had. Weiss now leaving the pits will leave 4th overall in category. Joris Ooms is now your Pro-Am leader, and will have his nearest challenger in the championship, the championship leader, Roshdi Koshev, then directly behind, which would turn the championship gap to 3 points. A look from Lazar down to the inside. Lazar trying to say, huzzah, it's mine, but no. Alexander Nikolov's Mustang proving once again that the patience factor is going to play. Dylan Stebler with a slowdown penalty is going to have to serve it, the Swiss driver out there, and so he will have to get on the binders somewhere and hopefully not let Norbert Haye through, and this will be why, because he hits the brakes. Oh, he's had to try and lunge through on a Porsche there, on a GT3, because he's overcooked it, and he's had to fly straight on then through the next corner. So that's why that Dylan Stebler in the Matthew Racing Mercedes has run into those troubles. So just over the halfway stage, Struchka now. Oh, now this is really interesting here, because he's through on Martin Yankov, and he has caught back up to Hunor Horshi. So Horshi here I don't think has had the clearance necessary compared to what he had in the opening stint. Daniel Struchka has got pace. He is very quick. He is getting to grips more and more. Oh, and in the wall goes the race leader in GT4, Hunor Horshi. That is big. I wasn't expecting to see that, as Valentin Stemenkov in front of them had a little skirt through the gravel over the top of the hill. I was not expecting Hunor Horshi to make that sort of mistake. Now he's got lap traffic of his own class to get by in the form of Maxim Ivanov. Down the hill, he'll get the clearance of that, but I think he's not. I think he's worried. I think he's nervous here, is Hunor Horshi. And it's not often you get to see a driver of his quality put it in the barrier, and he will have a tiny bit of damage, I would have thought, with the clipping that he did there. So I look around, he's just about okay as far as the bodywork panels are concerned. I don't think he's got any sort of right hand down that will be causing him alarm, but at least right now, Hunor Horshi is in the ringer because it is Daniel Struchka who is trying to prove that he can get his first wins out there on this season. So now they start to set themselves up, and now for the GT3 AM lead, Nikolov versus Katsarski, and in fact, that's Arnie Weiss who they are having to scrap with here, and that will put a car in between them. Weiss will see Nikolov there in the brown and yellow, try and go around the outside. Not often you see brown on a race car there, so he's doing a very, very good job, or in fact, you could say it's a burgundy there for a bit too, as it catches on the sun there with the slight chroming that is there on it. But now, Gabriel Ivanov has caught Ventislav Raichanov for position. The gap between Boychev and Neshev up at 5.6 seconds. Note that as well. If it's 6, Ivaylo Boychev might just be Boy Wonder, because he could find the move that gets it done. Gabriel Ivanov realizing this now, that it's not just going to be a championship of him. He'll know that Johan Neshev not getting the win will be big, but it will bring the championship gap in the pro standings to 1 point in favor, I believe, of Johan Neshev, leaving, if it's second compared to fourth. It is 63 points for finishing in second. It is 54, sorry, for finishing in fourth. So that would be a switch up of 9 points. It would be Gabriel Ivanov ahead by 2, then heading over to Spa, if it were to stay as it is at the moment, not factoring in 0x's, which are more likely to be found here than anywhere else because it's a street track. Kevin Abbey then in the midst of battling here, because he's got Alex Stefanov and Kamto Chikure for a bit of company here, and they are going to be both in their respective guises trying to find a way to go and get this sorted here. They now will know they'll tick over and have about half a minute remaining on the clock, as in comes Vladimir Mavrodiev again for what will be his final stop of the race, leaving him the half an hour stint remaining to get himself home and hosed. Feigning the move down at the chase was Kamto Chikure, who wants to try and jump up there. That blink's going to do no favours for anyone, as he sits and tries his best to go and gain that pass. But he is once again stuck at this stage, really hoping that he'll find a way through at some part of this circuit, that there are going to be chances where he can go get that move. He will look at Stebler in front, Pit Venanzi, who has been able to break away. They've been able to find the gaps. Really, they've been stuck in this secondary pack that is miles away from what's needed. As Nikolov now, senior, gets us. Oh, he's around. Alexander Nikolov's around, and that's at the top of the mountain. So he's had a big issue here as Alexander Nikolov. He's broadside across the circuit, trying to get himself safe and home. And I'm just trying to work out exactly where it is. It's just coming out of the dipper, and he's got himself back around and going again. But that's a huge loss in terms of time as we watch there as they go through. Oh, a big hit for the AMS. Lazar Katsarski now is going to have clearance, so we'll look at it here. Has he just lost it on his own on the exit? He has. The rear just hasn't gripped, and he's nosed it into the coach hire barrier there, and it's pure concrete when you jump down in. So that is going to be very, very unfortunate. Alexander Nikolov turned around, wrong place, wrong time. Chikure having to let through the likes of Gabriel Ivanov then over the top of the crash, being followed by Venslav Rajinov, who gets no light. Oh, big pile-up, huge pile-up down there, and it's caught out drivers. Hayes in there, Rajinov's been caught up. Crabbing along is Hay now trying to get home. A junk up at the Forest elbow that I don't think anyone was really expecting to find. Norbert Hay, I think, was the catalyst here. Was it Pit Venanzi as he went down in? So Venanzi then, as there's more dramas for Stebler, who's blown an engine. So Venanzi goes around, and right on the exit, he's got to hold his brakes, and everyone's got nowhere to go. You're unsighted off the corner. Look at it. Bang. 1, 2, 3 that have all gone in. And as everyone tries to clear, and the leaders all had to scramble down there. Look at the heads-up driving. Gabriel Ivanov taking a little tap through. Raichanov gets into the side as well. And there goes Christian Novev through. Stebler's got to take a tow at this stage. He's not going to get it back home without it. But that has completely blown apart the middle of this field. Velen Vitanov, I think it even was, and Raichanov has only just managed to find a way through. And for the third consecutive race, Venceslav Raichanov is out. Is out. What a torrid season for Raichanov. Meanwhile, Yornin Svetanov now into the top 10 with Rosti Koshev and Joris Ooms in front. This is the Pro-Am battle for the victory here today. Joris knowing he's going to have to do what he can. Give good credit as well to Nikolai Mikov, who is fourth in class at the moment and driving absolutely wonderfully at this stage and proving that today is his. So Venanzi hits pit lane after picking up some damage. Naidenov down there as well. So you look around, Hay out, Stebler out, Raichanov out. And that really opens up GT4 as well. Alex Stefanov then will be fourth, AB fifth, and Shakure now up to sixth. Koshev is the shadow of Joris Ooms pretty much the entire race. It has looked like now for the last 10 minutes or so. And so this is where you're seeing the gaps open, and Johan Neshev is really struggling with traffic. It has to be said now, because the gap for Ivilo Boychev is 10 seconds. Lost 3 seconds on the last lap. And this is now Ivilo's to lose at the front. Koshev down the hill, trying to dance for the Forest elbow and get the drive off the exit down the hill. And this massive jump. Once upon a time in a race around here, they had a tree actually fell onto the circuit. Fortunately, did not catch any car in the hit as it happened. But really, the dramatics that this circuit brings time and time again is huge. Koshev still hoping that he's going to get the run, but look at the launch of that BMW on the straight. 235 kilometers an hour down in the braking zone. He was well quicker than the Porsche getting that sorted out. So this is the big moment of this race, and there will be questions on who is being able to do what, because remember, Arnie Weiss is not out of this race. If he can save the fuel and go on a one-stop strategy to everyone else on a 2, that puts Ooms and Koshev and Svetanov at notice for their pit stop. So I'd be a little concerned here. Koshev, 0.2 of a second, really trying to eye up whether this pass is going to be enough then to go and get this sorted. Eyeing for the inside. While that happens, Roban Skelton, move wasn't made. The other Yekov Rally School R&R car is now going to be firmly eyeing up Lyubomir Velkov. And in front of them, they've got Alexander Nikolov Sr., who is just trying to stay out of the way right now and is limping about. Oh, Velin Vitanov in trouble and down in the pits too. So what has happened to Velin? Oh my goodness, he's gone over at McPhillamy and bang, hard into the wall there as he just crests the skyline. That is trademark at Peterbrook Skyline, what you see. And Velin Vitanov now is going to drop miles out of the championship picture. He was second in the general and third in the GC3 Pro standing. So he now drops miles. That's a huge hit for Velin Vitanov as he's gone in. Alexander Nikolov as well down in the pits for that final service. So Rychanov and Vitanov both in the pits and struggling. It will promote Gabriel Ivanov to third, but we'll see if there's any penalty that comes from his excessive weaving then on the run-up as they go through. Kamto Chikure will take his final pit stop. Unless we forget GT4, Struchka is still within 2 seconds here of the likes of Hunor Horshi. So that is still very much on as we watch Maxim Ivanov now. This for a position here against Dimitar Dimitrov. Just they've been quietly going about looking for the points, and in comes Joris Ooms then for his last stop of the race. So Joris then will say, now's the time. I got a bit of clear track. I'll see the valley of drivers who have not done well and make that service then happen. But for the moment, Kamto Chikure there, and Koshev then, who has been released to go out there and attack, has now got his eyes firmly behind, because this is Yordanin Svetinov, and the nose looks a little pushed in at the moment on that Mustang around the outside of the quarry. Very tough racing between them, but Svetinov then can't do much. He has had the Ford Mustang nose push, but he knows that he's got pace. He is very fast on his day. He's been quicker than MX-5. He's looking to be quicker than that. Bodomechkov trying to recover some positions as well, as on the exit of the pit lane, he will have Joris Ooms for company, who's just come out, and behind them, Ivaylo Dimitrov, who is in the mix, second at the moment in AM, having a wonderful day at the office, and cannot be understated how well of a day that has proven to be, at least at this point. So Bodomechkov just trying to bring back what he can. He's fifth in class at the moment, and a full pit stop down on Joris Ooms as we sit with just about 22 minutes to go here from Bathurst. So, Ivaylo Dimitrov is getting busy here right in front of him, so he'll now have a lot to try and get by. This is what you call the biggest dilemma that you have, because you get this side-by-side as you run along the mountain. Bodomechkov and Katsarski side-by-side. The GT3 AM leader, Lazar, with Joris Ooms trying to get through as well. He'll go to the outside trying to pick up this pass. He has to take a double take because that was deep in on the brakes by Lazar as he tried to hold his station. Ivaylo Dimitrov there, gap at the front, 8.1 seconds now. So Boychev, I have him currently leading by 2 seconds net as it stands. So anything less than that, and it could be a whole heap lot closer by the end of this race. Pit stops we're expecting in 10 minutes. So they're continuing on. Ivaylo looking for the run. Valentin Stemenkov hits pit lane behind. So that will be a stop then that will continue on the progress as they go. But I would certainly look at this group and Lazar Katsarski, the cork in the bottle here for Joris. If he wants to get the result he needs, fighting Rosti Koshev, he's got to look at his lap times, and this is the first real lap that you can compare over to Rosti Koshev and what he's capable of doing. Stemenkov leaving pits in 18th position. Horshi now out to 2.5 seconds. They've dropped Martin Yankov, and now Struchka has been dropped, and Horshi looking at this going, well, I'm going to take the championship lead now at this stage with the way that my driving is proving to be the best as far as it goes. So I really think that as it stands then for the category, I really look around and say Yankov round 1, Horsey round 2, round 3 looking like that one also Huno Horsey. 3 straight. That's going to be very tough to go and beat, as Joris Ohm's still a whole mountain stuck behind Lazar Kaczarski. He's going to have to lunge him somewhere to go and get this move, but that BMW is going to have a lot of roar in the high end compared to the Porsche, which is more of a corners car than anything. And so now Lazar, where are you going to defend this one? Because here comes Joris Ohms. He'll go straight to the inside. They're even on the brakes, and it's overcommitted by Lazar, and it's Joris Ohms through, and he gets his pass. Now the lead 7.5 at the front. Johan Neshev, we haven't really talked about the lead over the last 15-20 minutes because it's been so one-sided. Neshev is trying to do everything he can to claw this gap back to Ivaylo Boychev's Ferrari. The negative delta by SIMGEAR number 10, looking for a first win of the season, has been sort of there-ish and not really had the luck. Now trying to do what's needed. Roy Viveka also down in the lane. I would argue right now, this is where the race needs to be won and lost. Ivaylo Boychev has got to keep the cadence up. He has got to hit the traffic. He did a 2:03.6 on that last lap. We'll see what it is as he crosses the line this time. A 2:03.5, a slight improvement. Neshev did a 2:03.1 last time by. This time, he does a 2:03 flat. So again, another half a second taken off. He is in the go zone at the moment. Ivaylo Boychev sees 2 cars in between him. Venceslav Raichanov, who's in the pits, Lyudmila Velkov, and then you got Johan Neshev. So sorry, I'll correct myself. You've got now Raichanov back out there trying to get any points he can at this moment because he knows how tough today has been for him. But this is really where Ivaylo Boychev's race can be won or lost. The Slank Machine now has lost the lead category because that is Ivaylo Dimitrov, who has gone through into 13th place and has taken it away. So GT3 AM is down to this between Ivaylo Dimitrov and Lazar Kaczarski. Brilliant stuff. Then as they sit with just 17 minutes left on the clock, Lazar has looked around and Ivaylo here has taken 2/10, 4/10, and then that last lap, 2.2 seconds then to get the difference. Now, can you go and get it back? Battle of Porsches on the brakes. The checkered pattern trying to go and get it done. It's going to be close between them. They have a little bit of contact there as Lazar tries to lean on that left rear quarter panel into Murray's. They'll go. Svetanov and Mikov both pit. And so now you start seeing again at Murray's a chance to try and get the race lead in GT3 AM. Lazar cannot get it done. And again, the good defense in graces of Ivaylo Dimitrov are just holding their station. Yornin Svetanov comes out the pits just in front of them, and Svetanov critically is only a handful of seconds behind Joris Ohms. So that's where the race is going to have to be found in the final stages. Where Joris Ohms is going to be compared to Koshev, Weiss, and Boromechkov, who will all have stops to do to bring themselves home. And the gap at the front now, 5.7 seconds. Ivaylo Boychev is having no luck with the lap traffic. Johan Neshev clawing back in. Again, Ivaylo Dimitrov fends it off. Christian Novev now hits pit lane from 4th position. And this is where the race is going to be needed. They're going to be slow a little bit here, the likes of Svetanov, because of the tyre life situation of being on cold tyres, having to get them up to speed, heading towards midday. A track now 37 degrees. It's getting toasty here. And critically, Lazar Kaczarski has lost bundles of time trying to get by the GTs there, the GT4s. So that pretty much puts an end to that battle for the moment. Ivaylo Dimitrov trying to stay through. Leaving with tyre smoke is Christian Novev for the negative Delta KK squad. Mustang there, that now stays in that 4th position ahead of Chris Vrajolov, and now will be there and set. And I would say, bring on what comes along next. There's your GT4 battle on screen. A lot bigger the gap than you'd expect it to be. And Koshev in a scrap with Leon Kiermaier, which might be the biggest saving grace in the final stages of this race. Down with 15 minutes to go here in this one. It'll be nip and tuck at the pit stop between Boychev and Neshev. But right now, it is all about Koshev and Weiss and what they are capable of doing. We know that Venanzi is out of the race as well now, and so that's a real shame for the Scherer Esports driver to be out. Koshev, 0.2 of a second to the cutting, double apex of turn 3 and into turn 4. There's a wonderful tennis court of that private house residence there that sits on the top of Mount Panorama at turn 4, the cutting, but will not have any luck. Velin Vitanov as well out of the pits, and again another little grab of smoke over on the wall for Rosti Koshev there. Kiermaier trying to do everything. Now Avilo Boychev pits. This is the race at this point. Slow down for Vrajilov then as he has to skirt across and abandon ship. But Avilo Boychev gives Johan Neshev the lead. And this stop is going to be the most telling of this race. Where Avilo comes out, how much time he gives back up to Johan Neshev, and how good has that Ferrari been at saving its fuel. Perfect in the box, but now you ask Johan Neshev, can you be flawless to go and claw this gap back? He will have traffic to deal with in the form of Robban Skelton, and where he catches Robban now is going to be important. Avilo Boychev already leaving pit lane on the splash and dash with 13 minutes to go, and now he will try and carve up this Mount Panorama circuit with everything. Skelton let it go at the cutting corner, and so easily made short for clearance there for Johan Neshev. And that's what you're finding as Hunor Horshi, now leader of GT4, is in the lane. Leon Kiermaier now pits from 6th position. That gives Koshev 6th for the moment, and he'll be followed in by Stanimir Borisov, who's a lap down, the AM leader in the championship, who will be ceding quite a fair amount of points away to Avilo Dimitrov and Lazar Katsarski. Rosti Koshev in that 6th place. Answers on a postcard. What is he going to be able to do here compared to Joris Ooms and the time that's there? Replay here. Nicholas Nikos down the hill. And this is coming up then towards the Forest Elba. Oh, it's easily done. Loses it on turn in, and he will ride the wall all the way down. Bang! A hefty hit into the tyres. Avilo is chasing. Dimitar Dimitrov is going to get a black flag for not serving his slowdown penalty. In fact, it's unsafe pit entry it will be. Now in comes Johan Neshev, and the race on for Avilo Boychev, who's heading himself to the chase. Neshev was side by side coming down through with a GT4 car of Radlin Ivanov. Has that been the difference maker? Gabriel Ivanov is also down in the pits then, and so is that the make or break? Radlin Ivanov down in the pits. Avilo is only now coming through the final corner. Johan only needs a supple of fuel as he takes his service. How quick is he going to be gone? Gabriel Ivanov is there at the moment. There goes Avilo Boychev, and it's comfy. Oh, it's so comfy as he goes through. It was all the difference as they came through. Johan's got a chase now for 10 minutes. That will be roughly about 6 laps as he now looks to get it sorted, because they'll do 2:05s as they cross about, but it's now 3.6 seconds, and question the fuel scenario out there. Chris Vrajilov is down in the lane. Rosti Koshev right now is also pitting at this moment in time. So they're both making their stop late, and you still wait on Arnie Weiss and what he's doing. So where does Koshev come out compared to Joris Ooms, who is now making his way through? That's the next question. Neshev at 3.6 will have it all to do now to chase as Vrajilov leaves the pits, and Koshev now in his box. Boromechkov pit. Weiss has stayed out and will now inherit the GT3 Pro-Am lead. Koshev now leaving his marks. Kiermaier's going to go by, and here comes Joris Ooms as Neshev trying hard to chase down. He's quicker in that sector than as he tries to work for it. Joris Ooms round the corner. He's behind. He's behind, and Hunor Horshi, who is waiting now on Struchka's pit stop then to finish off this race, is also going to be looking at, I don't want to be in there too much. Neshev Sector 4 took another 10th out there of Ivilo Boychev. The gap is 3.4 seconds, and they are really hunting down. Gabriel Ivanov is quicker as well, but he is 4 seconds back, and I think his task is exponentially harder by comparison. So I think that's telling you all you need to know. Ivilo Dimitrov and Lazar Katsarski both leaving pit lane, the GT3 AM leaders at the moment, and I think Katsarski is going to be behind Ivilo Dimitrov still, and they can see him already halfway up the straight. That's going to be the concession of GT3 AM unless something dramatic happens in the final stages of this race. Lazar's giving it a real good proper go here today, but I think he is going to be a couple stages short, depending on where the battles are with the likes of Velen Vitanov, Venslav Raichanov, and the clearances needed on the straights. Look at how they're trying to go through. Krastin Stanchev in the middle of that with a very damaged car as well, trying to navigate through the difficult stages of this race. So, down to just those 10 minutes to go, and this is Alex Stefanov here into the cutting. Commits into the corner, and I think he just has a wiggle on entry, and the back just isn't settled because he can't get the rotation in. He loses it, loops it, and says, well, I'm going to have to get back up onto speed as quickly as I can. And I think Kamto Chikure has done exactly the same here in GT4. Is it going to be a carbon copy here with the AMG Mercedes? Takes a wider line in, tries to get it through. You can see the tyre squeal. Oh, no, he's going to jump on the scene. Oh, all you have is the black box relative to understand where they are. You do have to take caution, but Kamto Chikure, I think, is desperately unlucky there that he's caught up in that. And there's not really much more you can say except not needed. Nicholas Nikos involved, as there is Velen Vitanov and Venslav Raichanov. They're in a scrap for 33rd position as they'll go around the GT3 AM leader. And look at the gap at the front now. Suddenly, with a lot of traffic to get through for Ivilo Boychev, dealing with Valentin Stemenkov and Alex Stefanov, and the likes now, Roy Viveka in front as well. That gap is down to 2 seconds, and suddenly this race is on overall. Ivilo is just praying for the clock to strike midnight here, and he knows he's got 7 minutes, which in lap time speak is 4 laps to get himself home and hosed, and at half a second a lap without traffic, it's going to put Johan Neshev in a really strong position to try and make it happen. Ivilo is going to have to defend on the final stages of this race, and there's the launch through. Clears Valentin Stemenkov at Hell Corner, and now the grunt. Look at the desperate flashing of the lights. Please, Roy, out of my way. That's the leader in front of me at 1.6 seconds. Please let me go. Please let me go. And he knows that critically, if he's stuck on the mountain behind Roy Viveka, he could lose a second. Roy's not quick through the quarry corner, and that was nearly the wall for Johan Neshev, and he knows he's dropping time now here at the cutting. Gap back up to 2.1, and the clearance finally there. Now you're going to have a magical mountain section in order to make it work, and remember, Gabriel Ivanov is only 3 seconds back, and the championship leader would love to send a message. Ivilo Dimitrov has a slowdown penalty. Oh, that's going to be big, as he's got to try and serve that down the mountain. That will bring Lazar Katsarski closer for AM. In Pro-Am, we still wait on Arnie Weiss and whether his strategy works, because he's 9 seconds clear, or 5 seconds clear, sorry. No, I am correct. He's 9 seconds clear of Koshev. And so if Arnie Weiss's numbers are correct, he'll get home and hosed ahead of Rosti. That could be massive. Neshev now, look at it. They're right next to each other. Ivilo Boychev's had no luck on the traffic down the hill. And now Johan Neshev's got the pick. With 5 minutes to go, it's going to be Ivilo Boychev who is going to have to be defensive. Johan, outside, heading to the chase, needs to get the launch. He's got the better top speed, but on the brakes, how brave is he around the outside? He's got it! Johan Neshev leads with 5 minutes to go here at Mount Panorama, but it's not done, because here comes Ivilo back on the outside. Can't get it sorted. Now we'll try and cut up through, and it might be better here. It might have even been a decision by a Vilo to try and save some fuel. Again to the outside. Harassing, big cutback to the inside at turn 1. He's overcooked it through the corner. So now the run will be again Johan Neshev's as he goes through. Look at what it's doing here to this group. They've only got 2.6 now to Gabriel Ivanov, and this is stellar stuff. Now as they fight for the victory. Up now on the mountain straight towards Quarry Corner. Neshev on the inside trying to box out Ivaylo Boychev and will critically manage to do so with the move and will now be staring at the fact there are 4 minutes left on this clock. Who is going to do what? And Neshev now starts to stretch the legs out. 0.6 of a second. And I think the braking prowess is telling now. I think Ivaylo Boychev here is seeing this one go to the distance. And if he can just hold his lines and stay within a second, he'll have a chance here against Johan Neshev. The critical fact is it's this downhill that is going to tell whether this is Boychev looking at trying to hold second or whether he can still do something for the victory. 0.7 of a second, big dipper time, and still 0.7 of a second. This is good work by Ivaylo, keeping this one honest here with Johan Neshev. They hit the Forest elbow, still 0.7 of a second, 0.8 on the exit, but now you'll get the slipstream down the hill, and you'll be able to start trying to hunt this back. Johan has had to work like crazy to try and get this one back into a picture. Ivaylo Dimitrov, by the way, that gap is 1.6 seconds, and that will be the last one to the line as far as those on the leading lap, him and Lazar Katsarski. So that's going to be cause of concern. 0.7 again as they hit the corner of the chase, and we'll have just 2 laps to go here in this one. Horsey has seen Struchka pit. He's cleared by 7 seconds, and wonderfully so. At this point, Jordanin Svetinov fighting for 9th. This is big because this is about getting by for what could be second in class here. He wants a move on Joris Ohms as quickly as he can up over the crest, trying to dance his way down through the S's, and this now in through the Big Dipper is where you've got to try and hold your nerve, because that Forest elbow sets the run up, and Joris takes a very defensive line in the corner. Will look for that drive on the exit and say, look, I'm still a part of this battle. I'm still the someone who can go out there and make this one work. So is there going to be any last hurrahs? But for the moment, half a second says, no, it's not going to be anything just yet with 2 laps to go. Desperately trying to chase. Lazar Katsarski now is at a couple tenths of a second as Arnie Weiss has to hit pit lane. He couldn't last out there. And still also GT3 Am fights for the victory. Katsarski now down the hill trying to find anything that he can. Weiss loses the lead. Weiss will also lose second to Joris Ohms as Koshev is through, and the likes of Joris Ohms now and Jordanin Svetinov will go through, and there's traffic in the form of Martin Yankov to go and get by, who's 3rd overall. So now here comes the chance. Lazar, is he going to get GT3 Am honours with the way that he's driving here? There is slipstream though still from cars in front, and that again is going to be a very telling story. This is where you're going to need to find this pass. Palauzov is where the clearance is needed to be found, and is still there. 1 second overall at the front, half a second here. Koshev cleared by 6 as Ohms fights for second in category, and then 6 seconds for Hunor Horsey as a look to the inside here at Murray's Corner. There'll be 2 laps for them, but they'll know that the white flag lap will soon be starting here for Neshev. Johan Neshev will be there in the background, Barney waving away that white flag as the Jordanin Svetinov knows that he has got to try and go and get this move. He has got to try and find a way by Joris Ohms, and almost pushing him through McPhillamy. Incredible. 9/10 the gap now for second overall, as look at this as they chuck it down the hill. There is nowhere for a Jordan to go. The iron wall of Joris Ohms refuses to break at this stage of the race. He just is blocking up every single corner at the moment, and it is proving to be a nightmare of a scenario. There's Neshev, your leader. He's 2 seconds clear, but Gabriel Ivanov now is starting to turn the screw on a Vilo Boychev, who's there at 9/10 of a second. Big, heavy traffic now, and that's going to be a big scare. Neshev dealing with Palauzov, who grabs the wall. Vilo will close 0.5 of a second. Svetinov not close enough to go and make that move. Boromechkov now is going to get a run here to try and steal 11th from Nikolai Mikov, and he's going to manage so with the power of the iPredictor Mustang then to go by and say, yep, I'm having that. And is there troubles? Gabriel Ivanov's off on the final lap. Gabriel Ivanov off. He ran into the back of Dimitar Palauzov heading to McPhillamy Park. He's damaged the suspension and is going to have to limp home now, hoping he can beat Novev out to it. A big seismic moment in the GT3 Pro and overall standings heading on this final lap. How will he get home with a car that is broken and bent up? But he knows that this was a chance that he could have ill-afforded. Look, the suspension, it's caving in, the sparks coming off of it. There on the front right, and Christian Novev's going to get there. It will be no news on how that's happened for Johan Neshev, because he knows for GT3 Pro, he is back in the title picture. 2026 might be his year. Johan Neshev wins here at Mount Panorama, and Vilo Boychev will take second, and for third it will be Gabriel Ivanov desperately trying to serve a slowdown, and he will lose out to Christian Novev, who will steal the podium on what is the final attempt going through. We will wait for Hunor Horshi, who will be one of the last cars over the line, and soon as well to GT3 AM. Rosti Koshev, though, we will need to talk about as we'll look at this from Alex Stefanov. This one, oh, that's why it happened to Palauzov. Bang! A huge, huge hit through the Griffin's mouth, back across the circuit. A truly sickening accident with the forces involved into it there as they went through, an engine going boom as well there up on the top section. Oh, Koshev almost in trouble. He's almost grabbed Stanislav Naidanov, as we'll take a look. Krasin Stanchev, sorry, it was. But then Svetinov here, who's trying to do everything he could, has just looped it on the final lap. Joris Ooms then is going to be safe by that comparison then as they go through. Koshev takes honours in GT3 Pro Am, and now we'll look at Lazar Katsarski, because this is the big moment as GT3 Am comes down to this one moment. This is what they're all fighting for. This is what they're clamoring about. And Katsarski closes, and Katsarski closes, and Katsarski wants it on the outside, turned inside at the chase. How brave is he on the brakes? He's brave, and they're going to rub fenders into the corner. Still there's room for Ivilo Dimitrov. He'll pick up the run off of the exit. Now it's all about Murray's. It's a drag race here as they head to the final corner. Katsarski's got the inside. One corner. He's gone and done it. No, he doesn't. He's got no drive. He's out of fuel. Oh, Ivilo stole one. Ivilo Dimitrov stole it from Lazar Katsarski. He ran out of fuel coming over the line. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? He ran out of fuel. He was a straight short coming over towards the line. Oh my goodness. I can't believe that. I can't believe that. Wow. Let's get a look at results. We know that Hunor Horshi's crossed the line as well. Winner of GT4 for the third straight time. Oh my word. Lazar Katsarski ran out of fuel coming over the line. Side by side, he had it all done. He had it all scouted, had it all covered. The one thing he forgot to do was put 100 meters worth of fuel in. He was just a little too aggressive. You can see he gets in through the corner, and then as he looks to put the power down, there's no drive. Absolutely none. You can see the car misfiring as it tries to look for any form there of fuel to come through with it, and just did not have it. Oh my goodness, what a finish in GT3 AM. that we've just had. Confirmation of result then we will run on your screen. Unofficial, of course, because there will be post-race steward reviews that will need to be put into play. But Johan Neshev, an hour, 11 minutes and 32 seconds, will get the job done and will do so by 1.2 seconds over Ivaylo Boychev, with third in this race belonging to Christian Novev, who would take it from Gabriel Ivanov on the final lap after he clashed with the likes of, I believe, Dimitar Palauzov, and that ultimately broke the suspension. Gabriel Ivanov has left vital points on the table for the GT3 Pro standings. You then have Chris Vazlov in fifth. Leon Kiermaier, a very underrated sixth place result today. Also, I will note, Chris Vazlov, 13th to 5th, a gain of 8. Brilliantly done. Rosty Koshev winning in GT3 Pro-Am ahead of Joris Ums and Jordanin Svetanov, despite a scare for Jordanin late on. Arnie Weiss tried to go as long as he could. He was 2 laps short of fuel and ends up in 10th with Ivan Boromechkov and Nikolai Mikov there behind. It would then be Ivaylo Dimitrov on the final corner, managing it with no fuel in the tank for Lazar Katsarski. That changes their category with Valentin Stamenkov third for Sofia Car Motorsport. You then had Roy Vaveka and Roban Skelton 16th and 17th, ahead of Lyubomir Velkov, Stanimir Borisov, and Vladimir Mavrodiev rounding out the top 20. Alexander Nikolov Sr. did lead at a point in this race, had a couple spins that pulled him back, with Hunor Horshi winning his third straight GT4 race ahead of Daniel Struchka and Martin Yankov, a story that keeps on being told the same way, with Milan Milchev then in 25th. Kevin Aby and Kamto Chikure 4th and 5th in class, with Alex Stefanov 6th. And then Stanislav Naidanov well out of the picture today, with Radlen Ivanov. And then those two big names, wrong place, wrong time, Ventislav Raichinov and Velin Vitanov, both having troubles for negative delta. Dimitar Palauzov then was caught up in the off-track racing DK107 on the final lap with Nicholas Nikos, and then you hit the last car to finish 5 laps down there, the likes of Maxim Ivanov and Dimitar Dimitrov. Out of the race, Norbert Hey, Chris Krastin-Stanchev just about finding a finish. Pit Venanzi on debut there for Scherer, Dylan Stabler, as well as likes of Alexander Nikolov and Orlin Malinov, and a big dramatic start to the race for Hristo Sarkazov, then being a trouble spot of the days running as they went. But it gives us the chance to jump over to the SimGear GT Masters press conference, and truly a magical battle in many categories over to the end. It's the emergence of what Ivaylo Boychev can do over the course of a race, and we have seen so many times what amazing racing can do. We'll start with your winner, Johan Neshev, who is here with me right now. And Johan, you left it late. I'll say it like this. You left it late. There was a great strategy in play by Ivaylo to underfill at the first stop and try and overfill at the second. And those 3 seconds to chase down, what was going through your head as that gap was starting to close?
Well, during the second stint, I was thinking about how the traffic made me lose like 10 seconds and how I'm gonna lose this race, not because of pace, but because of traffic. And at the last like 5 laps, it worked out for me. I honestly have no words for that. It's a pure miracle.
You got your miracle, you got your pass, and critically for you, after what was a little bit of a troublesome second round of the championship, the form starting to be found, and especially when you got back-to-back weeks, how critical was it running around today, knowing that you got to play with that traffic, you got to give yourself a chance, and you had that opportunity to fight for the win and take it?
Well, I knew I had the pace, but I can't control the traffic. It's out of my control, and whatever happened, I was down for it. Uh, I didn't care if it helped me or not, and yeah.
Right, 7 days. It's going to be possibly the busiest weekend for Bulgarian sim racers, with the Daytona 24 and as well running action at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. So how are you going to look to balance potentially a 24-hour run and then getting yourself prepped to battle at Spa?
A lot of practice for sure for both races, and it's gonna be hard. This weekend I didn't have any other races. I was free to practice this one, and yeah, we would just have to find the time for both.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck in 7 days' time. Johan Neshev there winning it in the GT3 Pro and overall position. Second, ultimately, was Ivilo Boychev. And Ivilo, I think that's the coming of age race for you. You needed a result like that. You were able to get it, but talk us through what happened in the final 13 minutes of that race. You came out, you had a 4-second lead, and suddenly it evaporated in 2 quick moments over the mountain.
Yeah, I think it's Bathurst. I think pretty much the whole race kind of depends on traffic. I think I had probably the better traffic for the first half of the race, and then for the last 13 minutes, I think it was obviously pretty bad. I got stuck behind GT3s and GT4s down the mountain, I think 2 or 3 times, and at the end of the day, that 3 second gap just closed up, and I didn't change tires at all. So I think the pace difference was obviously visible with Johan who did, and I think that probably costed me P2. But I think it was ultimately traffic, but I don't think all tires would have helped.
So, tyre decision often very important around here, and especially that traffic. Just talk us through how you have to navigate that as a GT3, because it's not as simple as you can just dive down the inside at every corner here at Bathurst. So, in terms of how the traffic played, because I thought they were actually really well behaved, how critical was it that you were able to just jump through, deal with the troubles that came along, and were just able to, just roll with the punches around here?
Well, I think I managed it quite well on my side, but of course, dealing with traffic is, of course, it's you driving, but then also the lapped car has to comply as well. And I think probably for the uphill part, it was pretty good. But going down the hill, I think that's where GT4s and GT3s struggled because it's quite tight. So most of them just decided to ultimately not let you by and just drive in the middle. I think that cost us the most time. But yeah, I think mainly for this whole race, it's not that much about pace, but just managing, not dive bombing, as you said, uh, minimizing damage, stuff like that.
A very strong result today, and so that gives you the platform then for Spa in 7 days' time. With the short turnaround and just how busy this weekend's going to be for a lot of sim racers, what do you think the key is going to be on a short week to try and get, the same result again that comes along at Spa in your Ferrari?
Well, I think scheduling is probably going to play a big part for this next race because, as you said, it's just 7 days and you have to manage your time correctly. You have to say, okay, I'll practice this, I'll spend this day making a setup. So I think it all comes down to just scheduling and practicing and stuff like that.
Well, it's a well-deserved result for you. Ivilo Boychev there joining us, getting a second position overall then here today. And that is a big, big result in GT3 Pro standings. We're going to move over to Pro Am for the moment, where Rosti Koshev was able to continue to increase his championship lead in the Pro Am division. And Rosti, I would say a very busy day for you at the office because you had brilliant scraps in the early stages of the race with Jorin, with Jordanin. You had Arnie Weiss, who was going to be a threat potentially if he was able to convert a one-stop. And you're in and around with Leon Kiermaier as well and Chris Vrajlov. So talk us through what was a busy day at the office where you had to be pretty much on your toes the entire time.
Yeah, I had to fight all of these guys plus the traffic, so it was action non-stop. But I managed well, and I got lucky a few times with the GT4s, and basically that won me the race.
The race got you everything you wanted, but as far as the championship goes in Pro-Am, it is a very close championship. Everyone is turning up and putting a good effort on the board to go through, and especially after qualifying as well with the wonderful time Ivan Boromechkov was able to put on. How are you looking at approaching this championship? Is this as it comes, race by race, corner by corner, or is this a case of just trying to measure your effort?
Well, it's race by race for now. I just try to make everything consistent. I'm not the fastest guy out here, but I feel like I can do most consistent races, and that's gonna be my approach continuing on.
And so that approach will go to Spa, a circuit that has pretty much being one of the great circuits out there for GT racing, a very well-known property. Do you think it's going to be easy for you to get up to speed there, or what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for you then heading into 7 days' time?
Well, we'll see. I'm gonna practice as much as I can, and time will tell.
Well, we wish you the best of luck then in 7 days' time. Rusty Koshev increasing his championship lead over Joris Erms, who now stands with me by a second in Pro-Am today. Joris, you tried the early final stop out there today. That was to try and give you that opportunity, but ultimately it was a case of Rossi had the pace in between your stop and the time he came in.
Yeah, it was worth to try that strategy. I think that he had a higher wing setting, so he couldn't catch up in the straight. I was giving him slipstream and wanted to take away that advantage, but it didn't work out. Had some GT4s in front of me when I came out, so that was bad luck. And unfortunately, I think 6 laps from the end, kissed the wall one time too much, had a bad steering, and yeah, then it's over. So it was a shame because it was really a nice match there for the P1.
Talk about dealing with damage, because this circuit, you often get it more than you don't if you're not being too careful about it. So in terms of having to deal with right hand down, especially in the final stages with a Jordan pretty much all over the back of you, how does that look for you in terms of how hard you were having to battle and what you had to bring to the table?
In one word, stressful. So I'm not sure how I can describe it in another way. Yeah, it's this is one of those tracks where you just cannot afford to lose your focus. It's full focus from start to finish. There's no resting time, and then of course, if you have a bit of more damage and you still have a GT3 in your rear view mirror, it's just very stressful.
And so you know that you're right up there in the championship. You're second behind Rusty Koshev. You know how critical it's going to be to capitalize on this January, knowing that these races are going to come thick and fast. Does Spa, as a home race for you, offer you a little bit of solace that you've got an extra virtual 2/10 in the back pocket?
Oh, maybe I don't know. I have to say I don't have full confidence in the car choice I made with the BMW. So I think for the tracks to come, including Spa, that the Porsche might have like a bit of an upper hand. So yeah, we'll have to see. But I'm gonna do everything I can. But I don't know.
Well, we'll see how it goes for you. Joris Ohms there, joining us from second overall. The driver just behind him, scrapping with him all the way, Jordan Svetanov, who would finish off in third in class. Now, Jordan, that for you was a day of getting that car up to pace, probably where your pace level is, but having to really fight hard, because it looked like for the majority of that race, the front of your Ford Mustang was bent in a little bit. So it clearly looked like you were getting in there and getting very busy.
Hello. Probably yes. I have plan for first half of the race. Just chill behind the guys in front of me. Feel safe, and my plan is was to push maybe after a second box. But yes, I have little disadvantage with speed. I don't know from where this come because BMW and Porsche ahead was like rockets on the straight. So probably I had damage, but I did not know that time. And yeah, I had really insanely bad luck with first pit entry where GT4 car pit in front of us, and so was really we lose maybe 2 or 3 seconds there, and after that I had one lap with GT4 traffic where I lose 5 or 6 seconds, and there Rusty just go away, and yeah, I think they're my race for the win ended.
it was one where there was certainly the potential to go out there and go for it. Your teammate as well was incredibly quick too today, so it looked like you had it all set up perfectly. But as far as the final stages, you were really trying to throw it against Joris, trying to get that second place. We saw a little bit of a slide for you up in the cutting that caused a bit of concern, but you were close. But what do you think was the difference today between that second and third?
Well, yes, for the spin, we passed GT4 car, and I think he touched the brakes really early, and our cars just slightly touched and might just go away. Yes, I was hoping for this P2. I was really fast on the mountain, maybe around not a second, but close to a second. But on the straights, I had no chance. I had no chance. In slipstream, no gain this BMW. Maybe I had damage. I don't know. But only way to pass was to do something stupid, dive bomb or anything like this, and just wait, and yeah.
Do you think then that fortune will change when you get to Spa? Do you feel like because it's such a common circuit that you come at it with a better base of understanding to go get the pace level up?
Well, I drove many times Spa, but I can tell that my pace there is something big, so I don't know. We'll practice. Probably we'll have no many free time for this because next week is Daytona 24 and it's busy for the next weekend. But we'll see. We'll see.
Well, hopefully there'll be some time for you to get the practice in. Jordan Svetinov joining us there. Third in the GT3 Pro-Am standing. Second in GT3 Am is Lazar Katsarski, who's along with me right now. Lazar, I think all we have to say is 100 meters more of fuel, and you had it.
Yeah, that's about right. Just few finish on the last corner, basically. And I was also very unlucky with the position on the track because always getting stuck behind GT4s basically, and yeah, just went downhill from there.
Well, how do you manage traffic like that and getting put into that position? Because you had 3.5 seconds to chase down coming out of the pits. You were able to get that gap down to nothing and have a shot for victory. But when you are chopping and changing so much, having to feather for those GT3s and GT4s, do you think that put the extra fuel wear in because you're constantly having to slow down a bit and then hit the power back on again to try and gain that power back up again?
Yeah, I would say so. Definitely cost me fuel there and a lot of time, but nothing you can do. I was trying to avoid accidents. So basically, wherever you see a car in front of you, just try to go with their pace until you can manage to go ahead of them.
Well, despite that, you make good progress on Stanimir Borisov in the GT3 AM Championship. So you're right back in the picture for you and Slank as you head over to Spa in 7 days' time. Is that what you're going to take away from this, that you're a lot closer now in the championship?
Well, yeah, try to stay positive and hopefully next race will be mine.
Well, here's a positive outlook for Lazar Katsarski, second place today in the GT3 AM standings, as it'll be a familiar sight now in terms of our chats in GT4. Hunor Horshi, for the third straight week, has managed to get the victory done in the VGTR Aston Martin. Hunor, same story basically as the race before. You built the gap early. You had the opportunity to go out there and make that progress, and then all you needed to do was just stave off the overtaker Martin Yankov, and it was done for you almost.
Yeah, thank you. It was very strange on strategy. I was constantly worrying that the guys behind me on strategy are going to beat me because my strategy was just about the same as last race. I wanted to hang behind my teammate so that I can save on fuel and save on tires. But after he outbraked himself, I had to lead the pack, so I decided to go for it, floor it, and I changed tires in the first stint. So I had to push all the way in. So I'm very tired.
Oh, I can imagine you very much are, but the fruits of the labour of the reward are certainly there to see, especially after what happened at the opening round. To now walk away from here as the GT4 Championship leader and to be what everyone is trying to be, does that change anything for you in terms of the championship with 3 rounds to go, or are you taking 3 straight wins as just, yeah, the strategy's been what's got me there rather than the pure pace?
No, I definitely know that I have the pace, but at the same time, the strategy is very important. We have seen in motorsports many times that strategy can make or break a championship, even on the last race. So strategy is very important, but so is pace. But now I'm very, very worried that with the gap, not the gap, but with the championship lead, I'm going to be too anxious on all the races, so I'm going to be making more mistakes. I hope that won't come, but it's definitely a possibility which I do not want to explore any further other than mentioning it.
Well, let's talk 7 days from now. Let's talk Spa as a circuit, which I think offers a lot more freedom than this track. Do you think that it's going to be a lot more of a circuit where you're going to see more drivers up near and around you because, you know, everyone is so commonly known at seeing what Spa can do?
Yeah, definitely. Especially in the first part of the lap, it's going to be very difficult with the GT3 traffic. At least I got the advantage that I'm missing the 24-hour this week, so I will have more time to practice than probably most guys here.
Well, it looks like there could be a little bit of a advantage then for Hunor Horshi, who is 3 straight with victory, and for back-to-back rounds in second is his teammate Daniel Struchka, then who comes over the line in second. Daniel, qualifying certainly worked its treat. You managed to steal the tow away from Hunor, and that got you up to the top. But outbreaking yourself at the chase there pretty much set the story of what the race was to come.
Yes, exactly. It was basically I just looked into the mirror and Hunor got into my head and I outbraked myself, and that was it. And after that, as Hunor said, I switched up strategies in my head. I've tried to fuel save as much as I could to maybe try to do a one stop only, but it was just I just couldn't do it, and I think the car wasn't even capable of doing a one stop only in this race. So I just grabbed that at the first pit stop, and then we just gone from there.
Talk about those GT3 cars and the way that they're going by around here, because, you know, normally when you've got a mountain like this, it's pretty much one line suits all and very difficult for multi-class style racing. So for you as a GT4, are you just breathing in and praying that everyone gets around you through each and every corner? How are you approaching it with the traffic and how they are trying to work a way around you?
Honestly, I think my mindset is a bit different than everybody else's, because I think here on the mountain it is really difficult to pass, and because of this, I knew nobody was gonna try to do anything dumb, basically. So I was just good to go if I stick to my line. And that was basically what happened. I think Gabriel was the only one who dove down the inside before Skyline. So, and I anticipated it because he's fast, as we know. So yeah, basically you can the only thing you can do is anticipate it, stick to your own line, and what advice I can give maybe to the faster classes is flashing and signing is a really important thing, because when you flash me from the behind, I can just see that you will be probably diving down the inside, and I can just let you go, and that's it. And it is the safest way possible.
You're certainly starting to find the building blocks that are getting you up there to the pointy end. Of course, the only thing that's really missing is that race win so far from your season. So what's it going to take to go from P2 to P1 when Spa comes along in 7 days?
Well, I am also one of the guys who is doing the 24 this weekend, so I don't even know how I'm gonna manage this, but I will try certainly to practice as much as I can and try to balance the weekend and the whole week basically.
Well, hopefully it will go good for you. Daniel Struchka finishing second overall in GT4. And once again, Martin Yankov third in GT4 honours. Martin, again, you found yourself behind the 8 ball about 10 seconds coming into that first stop. Again, tried to do something on the tyres, but the gap a little bit bigger than it was the week before.
Yeah, another race where I just didn't have the pace of the guys in front, and it was a bit boring again because behind me there was nothing interesting. So yeah, a bit disappointed, but it is what it is.
Well, there's only so much you can do about it sometimes when the pace level is what it is. But in terms of piloting that BMW, I know that a lot of people are looking around and, this is, a format of the championship where lots of people like Mustangs and everyone's got their favorite car for it. Do you think the BMW is giving you the best opportunity right now, or do you feel like the other cars maybe have a slight advantage on the balance of performance?
Well, I think the BMW is not the best car right now, but it's the car that suits me the best. So I like driving it. I like the style of the car. It's really sharp. I've tried some of the other cars, but uh, I'm not that fast with them. So I think this is the best for me, but it's a little bit slower than the others.
Short week, and with some drivers having to do having to do Daytona, others not. Do you feel like with you and ST Sim Racing that it's going to be a busy week for you coming up into Spa, or do you think it's going to be a nice, easy one where you can get the practice same as Hunor?
Well, Spa is my favorite track, but I think that all of the others are going to be extremely fast. I'm hoping for this because it's going to be really interesting to see not the three-way fight like it's always been, but I'm waiting for maybe top 5 or top 6 being in half a second, maybe.
So a big difference in terms of the style of racing. Martin Yankov there joining us and finishing off third overall there in GT4. And that will bring us to the end of our SimGear GT Masters press conference after what was some brilliant racing to be found in each and every single category. From everyone who has brought this show over to you, from the fantastic SimGear team behind the scenes, and of course the wonderful sponsors that you have seen over the start and what you can get over at SimGear if you haven't had the chance to already. My name is Jake Sperry, but the GT Masters is starting to take its shape into the second half of the season, and critically, a short week will test the very extremities of what the best that sim racers have to offer. In terms of GT4, it was another easy one for Hunor Horshi. He's got 3 in a row, and he is starting to walk into title contention as a leader rather than a chaser. 100 meters, all that was needed for Lazar Katsarski over Ivilo Dimitrov. Not enough to get the job done, but a really strong attempt heading over through that entire hour and 10 minutes. Rossi Koshev will continue to etch up an increasing gap in the GT3 Pro-Am Championship. Joris Holmes gave it what he could, but just wasn't able to stay with the power of the Porsche. But it is a day that belongs to Johan Neshev, especially with Gabriel Ivanov's issue on the final lap. He will move into the GT3 Pro Championship lead. Gabriel Ivanov will still be overall leader, but the day of Neshev needing to chase it down, Ivilo Boychev, his chance will come. It just wasn't quite enough today. We'll see you in 7 when we get back to racing action at the Circuit Spa Francorchamps.